every client that we talk to most likely is talking to other realtors. However, when they want to actually do a transaction, they're only going to think of one realtor, right? So we want, like, this statistics is talking about 76% of buyers and sellers, they think of one agent when they want to do a transaction. About 16% think of two agents, and like it's a negligible amount when they think of like other people and stuff. But basically, if you're here, you're not getting anybody's business. If you're here, there's a small chance, but basically we want to be here, right? We want to take up 76% of people's mind space, so that they will think of us when they want to transact, right? So how do you do this? By nurturing your leads, right? Do this by using the 5 essentials of a real estate business. So the first thing that comes to mind, and you should be doing on a regular basis, every single day, you should be living and breathing lead generation. So this is something that would never stop as a realtor. You should always be generating leads. So whether that's going to networking events, going to open houses, meeting other realtors in pre-construction events, there's lots of different ways to generate leads, and of course the traditional door knocking and cold calling. The thing about lead generation is it's going to be hard no matter which lane you choose. You have to pick your poison. So pick one that you like and do that day in and day out, and you will definitely see results. So the second most important thing is the lead follow-up. So that's when the nurturing aspect comes in. So you should be, the way that you can stay on top of mind is by frequently sending them valuable information in the form of emails, market updates, neighborhood, information, or just, I like to send out seasonal newsletters so for instance, the winter one would be how to winterize your home, right? So home maintenance tips that you should be doing, or things like making sure the plumbing, the pipes don't freeze, as well as the basement is sealed up nice and tight. The windows are sealed up to make sure your heating costs don't go up, things like that, as well as I do the same thing for every season. And because I've initially set them up, I can actually recycle and reuse the same material like year after year, because yes, we live in Canada, so we are going to have winter every single year, and some people need a reminder to make sure all their house is maintained properly. So if you're sending out a newsletter, then there's a higher chance that they will actually, like if you're sending like a physical mail, there's a higher chance that they will actually open it. However, you can't keep track of that. Plus you have to think about the costs. So I like to send them, when I say newsletter, I do mean online newsletter. So I send it over, and I will talk about how sending an online newsletter can actually help you keep track, because when you use a CRM system, it should tell you who's opened it, who's clicked on it. And we'll get more into that you should be adding call to actions and links in your emails and your newsletter, so that you can actually narrow down which links people are clicking, right? So you have 4 different kind of links. Group A clicks on, or person A clicks on link 1, and person B clicks on link 2. So now you can tell that, okay, this person is link 1 was market stats, and link 2 was an international listing. So now you can tell that person A is a little bit more serious than person B, right? Because person B is maybe looking at things that they're dreaming about or fantasizing, oh, I want to live in Greece or something. Whereas person A is actually interested in the market stats, which might tell you that, oh, they're actually maybe thinking about looking, or they're interested in transacting. So it also helps you figure out who your A, B, and C leads are. So we'll get into that. Next, we want to talk about setting and keeping appointments. So for the brokerage, we keep track, and like we analyze that data and make like that tells us where we need help. So with appointments, when you're booking appointments versus what ratio of those booked appointments are actually showing up, right? For instance, today, 11 people signed up for my event, but 3 of you showed up, right? So that tells me it's about a 30% show up rate. So if you can actually figure out the metrics of your appointments booked versus held, then you can maybe figure out where you're going wrong or what you're doing. If your ratio is too low, like you're booking 100 appointments, but you're not keeping any of them, like there's obviously something wrong. That tells, well, that would, for example, that would tell me that you probably have an issue with your follow-up. Because let's face it, people are busy, and in order to, if we go back to the mind share, you might not be currently on top of their mind, right? So how do you get on top of their mind? By following up. Like it sounds simple, but I know so many, like a lot of business that I've gotten for people that I haven't taken on a showing for like 2 years, but because I've made sure to follow up with them on, like, let's say, so I'll get into the style of follow-up, but basically because I've kept in touch with them throughout the 2-year journey, they, like, I'm the only person that came to mind when they were transacting. I actually, yeah, so I just closed like literally last night. That's why I didn't get a chance to do my hair and stuff. I haven't slept, but I just closed a listing last night that initially was a lease client. So it was a lease, and at the time, it was a lease from 2021. And at the time, I was telling the seller, I'm like, you have to sell it. It's such a good time. Like the market was a lot hotter back then. We were doing, offer presentations and things. It was a lot better, as it was much more of a seller's market. And I told him, I urged him, I'm like, please sell, please sell. And he's like, no, this is an investment property, whatever. Great, fine. So I leased it for him. But from 2021 until now, I kept in touch with him, and I made sure I added him to my Christmas news. So for Christmas, I send out physical cards, and I made sure I sent him a Christmas card every year, as well as call him every 3 months to make sure, hey, how are you doing? And it's not about, hey, are you ready to buy or sell? No, okay, buy, right? So that doesn't work. People don't like being sold to, and they know, like they don't like being sold to, because it tells them where your priorities are and what you're looking for. So it's like, if somebody comes up to you and it seems like all they want is money, like they're just doing it for the money, you're most likely not going to trust them, right? And people, obviously, they want to do business with people they trust. So we'll go into that. One last thing I want to cover is to stay on top of your scripts and role play. It might sound kind of silly, but I call it the rubber ducky method, where I take, like, if you can find another person to do role play or scripting with, great. But if, sometimes I feel embarrassed, or it's just hard to sync the schedules or whatever. You should be scripting for about 15 to 20 minutes a day. I use the rubber ducky method. So that's where I take a little rubber ducky, or like a stuffed toy or something, so that it feels like I'm talking to someone. So I know it sounds silly, but it does help. Because personally, I don't like talking to myself in the mirror. Like, that's another way to do it, but that's another way to practice your scripting. So whichever way you want to do it, just make sure you're practicing scripting about 15 to 20 minutes a day. It's not like riding a bike. Unfortunately, you will forget your objection handling unless you are practicing it over and over again. Like, it should become second nature to you. Like we have